what is a bar raiser and why would someone become one? Okay, so a bar raiser is an interviewer who is brought into the hiring process to be an objective third party. Okay, so by bringing somebody who's not associated with the team, hiring decisions should, at least in theory, improve. Okay, so a frequently asked question is, how do you spot the bar raiser? So easiest way to spot them is that they're not someone who's part of your future team. Okay. Also, if there are two bar raisers, most likely it's when you have a shadow employee. But I think there are, or at least there used to be, some experiments with two genuine bar raisers in the process. And I'm speaking about Amazon here. Okay, bar raisers may also override or veto the hiring manager's decision either in favor or against hiring someone. Okay, and furthermore here, at least in theory, bar raisers must ensure that candidates hired raise the performance bar overall. So basically, any new hire must be better than 50% of the existing employees in the same or similar roles. Okay, but moving on here to the types of questions one might expect from a bar raiser. So as you'd imagine, since they attend some special trainings, they will probably also be more likely to craft their own interview questions. So they will maybe sound a bit more unique and peculiar. However, here, speaking of behavioral interviews in particular, while there's an infinite number of possibilities to rephrase these questions, there's a finite number of behaviors you'll be getting screened on, right? So, for example, at Amazon, most often those behaviors are the leadership principles. So, at least in theory, the best way to prep the bar raiser round would be to prepare answering questions around the principles and behaviors. Okay, we'll say this again, at least in theory. Okay, and I'll talk about theory versus practice with a specific example at the end of this video. Personally, I believe those principles have become a rather complication because there are too many, and it usually takes you too long to prepare all of them for just the purpose of a job interview with them. Okay, another approach to simplify here could be using some key behaviors. Okay, so transform the leadership principles into some behaviors. For example, ambiguity and decision making. Tell me about the time when you had to deal with an ambiguous situation, such as when you didn't have enough data to make the right decision. Okay, or another one would be interpersonal. Tell me about the time when you did not get along with your boss, for example. Or inventiveness and learning. How do you stay inspired and learn new things? Okay, vision. Tell me about the time when you set a vision when there was not one. Okay, and results orientation here. Tell me about a challenging delivery. Okay. Now, as I said earlier, a bar raiser will usually craft their own questions. However, here, since the choice of behaviors, if you want to call them leadership principles, is limited, then they're most likely to rephrase these questions so they sound more, actually less intuitive. So, for example, instead of tell me about the time you had to deal with an ambiguous situation, such as when you didn't have enough data to make the right decision, they could ask you simply, how do you deal with ambiguity? Okay, so the moment you understand why they ask you this question, then you're also most likely going to give them the best possible answer here. Or maybe another classic example, instead of screening you on results, with the question of a challenging delivery, they could pick a question with a little bit more drama inside. What's your worst failure? Okay, and as you'd imagine, some people actually do block when hearing such questions. Okay, and not only the questions, but also during the follow-ups, of course. So the overall idea is that they might put a bit more pressure than you'd like, and this is when mistakes are also probably more likely for some of you. Also, in a behavioral interview, the challenge isn't usually to find an answer to a behavioral question, but to be able to use your best story to answer it. Okay, at least this is what best candidates do, you know. As you can see here, it's not that much different to interview with a bar raiser than it is with any other interviewer, such as the hiring manager, for instance, so long you prepare for the occasion or so long your situation allows it. Okay, and here's a little example. I recently worked with someone interviewing for a senior manager role, and one of the highlights in their CV is they used to lead one of Amazon's bar raiser recruiting and training programs. Okay, and what was most interesting to me is the way she landed a job with Amazon. She actually got invited for an interview on short notice, and she passed it without ever touching the leadership principles. Okay, so she only learned about the importance of the principles after she joined the company. Why am I telling you this? Well, to basically highlight it's perfectly possible for someone to get hired primarily due to their subject matter expertise and, of course, their CV, as compared to their investment in the actual interview prep. All right, so I hope you found my tips useful, and thank you very much for watching.